My name is Teacher Giverlyn, and today we are going to talk about modal verbs. That is because we often use these words interchangeably without intending to. That is why I believe it is necessary to talk about this topic. Now, today I have prepared 10 modal verbs to discuss with you. First, let us talk about the word can. When we talk about the word can, it shows the ability, possibility, or permission. When we say ability, that means the person has the ability. He or she can do it. For example, she can speak 3 languages. The word can is being used here, and that means she has the ability to speak 3 languages. Another one, can I borrow your book? So in this example, the author is actually asking for permission, and he or she believes that he has or she has the possibility to borrow the book. Okay. Next is the word could. It shows possibility, polite request, or possibility. First, we have the past ability. When I was young, I could run very fast. Actually, this word here, the word could, is the past form of the word can. When I was young, I could run very fast. That means when the author was young, he or she had the ability to run very fast, but now maybe he or she doesn't have that ability anymore. Next, could you help me with this? That means the author is actually requesting politely. Next, may. It is asking for permission or possibility. I know for a fact that maybe we are quite confused as to what is the difference between may and might. Now you are going to learn about the difference between the two. First, the word may shows the permission and possibility. For example, you may leave now. That means you are giving permission to that someone that he or she can leave now. Next, it may rain later. It signifies possibility that later it may rain. Next, the word might, it shows only a weaker possibility. So earlier, you are quite sure because maybe you have the references that it may rain later because there's a possibility. You can see some symbols or some warning signs, yeah, or some visible warnings that it may actually happen later. But when we say the word might, it only shows a weaker possibility. For example, we might go to the beach tomorrow. That means you are unsure. The possibility here is not that strong. You want to go to the beach, but you are not sure that it will happen tomorrow. Okay? So that is the difference between may and might. Next, the word that we have is must. It shows necessity, strong obligation, and logical conclusion. First, you must wear a seatbelt. This one is actually a strong obligation. When you drive a car or when you ride a car or even a plane, you really have to wear a seatbelt. That means it is actually a necessity and your obligation to do it. Because if you will not do it, you may suffer from consequences. Next, the next example that we have here is she must be tired after the long trip. This one is an example of logical conclusion. The author might analyze the situation that she must be tired after the long trip. Yes, the author analyzed the situation and come up with this conclusion. Okay, next, the word that we have is shall. It suggests a formal suggestion and future intention. For instance, The author asked, "Shall we dance?" The author did not ask, "May we dance? Can we dance? Could we dance?" But the author used shall because it's a formal suggestion. If you are suggesting or asking in a formal manner, you can use the word shall. And also, this one is actually a famous quotation from Douglas MacArthur when he once said, "I shall return." When he stated that, he actually had the intention that he will return in the future. However, he only stated shall because he was not sure if he could do it, but he had the intention. That's why he only used the word shall. Next, we have the word should. We use this word if we are giving advice and if we are expecting or stating some obligation. Okay, what is actually the difference between should and must? Okay, because when we talk about must, it is necessary. You are really obliged to do it. But when we use the word should, this is just giving an advice and you are expressing your expectation. For example, you should eat more vegetables. This is you giving your advice to someone else. And also the next example that we have, the train should arrive at 7 p.m. That means you are expressing your expectation that by 7 p.m. the train should have arrived, right? Yes, so that's why we use the word should. Next, the next modal verb that we have is will. It shows future willingness and certainty. So what is actually the difference between shall and will? Well, they are both stating future willingness. However, when we use the word will, that means you are really willing to do it in the future, and at the same time, you are really sure that it will happen. For example, I will call you tomorrow. That means you are really willing to do it tomorrow and you are sure that you are going to do it. Okay, next, the word would. It can be a polite request, hypothetical situations, or past habits. I know maybe you must be confused as to what is hypothetical situations. This one refers to situations that you do not have yet, but you are imagining yourself into this kind of situation. For example, I were rich, I would travel the world. That means this is not my actual reality as of the moment, but I am imagining that maybe if I were rich, I would travel the world. Because most of the time, we use the word will instead of would, right? If I were rich, I will travel the world without knowing that is actually grammatically wrong. So from now on, let us use the word would. If I were rich, I would travel the world if we are stating some hypothetical situations. Next, would you like some coffee? It can also be for polite request. Another one, when we were kids, we would play outside all day. This is an example of past habits. That means when the author was just a kid, they would play outside all day. Okay, the last one that we have is ought to. This one is also an advice and an obligation. So what is actually the difference between should and ought to? Okay, they are quite similar. However, we use ought to if we are talking about duty and what is morally acceptable, what is morally expected, and what is morally good. For example, you ought to respect your parents. That means it is actually your duty to respect your parents, and at the same time, that is morally good, morally acceptable, and morally expected for you to do it. Okay, so that's all for modal verbs. I hope that you have learned something from me today. Once again, I am teacher Giverlyn, and thank you so much for listening.